Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Hey, today I'm going to start this cylinder repair. I've got a lot to do before I can actually do the repair. I've got to have a way to set it up in the lathe to clean up the bottom part. I'm not even concerned about the intake and exhaust at this point. The first thing I've got to do is make sure that I can mount it so I can clean up the bottom after I weld it. If I can't do that, then I can't do any of it. My original thought was to use a faceplate, and let me kind of show you. This is the faceplate that goes on the lathe, and you mount up whatever you need to mount up on here. But my bolt holes won't go out this far on this cylinder. So I've got a couple of things I can do. I suppose I could use a flat piece of metal and adapt it and then bolt the cylinder to it. But we've got a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts that way. So I think what I'm going to do is adapt an old, I've got this here that I use to bore out cylinders, Yamaha 125, 175 in the lathe. And I think that I can repurpose this and not destroy it so that I can't use it for the original application, but I can modify it to work in this case. And that's what I'm going to try to do. So let me get you overhead and let's see if I'll just kind of discuss what I need to do. And that's probably more of anything. Today's video will be trying to get to that point where I can get it in the lathe and skim the bottom after the weld. So let me get you overhead here. Okay, this is a 175 Yamaha, and this was designed for this to go on here, and then you'd have a torque plate at the top, and then your bolts would just go all the way through. And they actually are threaded into the bottom, into this piece right here. So I'm not going to need this, or no, I don't think so, because this cylinder does not go all the way through. So my idea, here's the one in question, is that we're going to go in and we're going to bore the bottom of this to the size of the cylinder sticking out of the top, the sleeve here. And you know, it'll take away a little bit here, but it's still, these don't even come down as far as threading goes. So that's not going to affect my original use of this. And then we can just offset this to get maybe 4 bolts into the top. And we'll just be using regular 8mm, I think these are, bolts for that. And kind of the first thing I need to do is get my bolt pattern established, and let me show you what I've got in mind for that. Okay, first off, the gasket doesn't go down here, so there's not going to be a gasket laying around that I can use to get a pattern. It just has a single ring that goes right on top of here. And then this fits there. So what I'm going to do is use the cylinder head to create my pattern for my bolt pattern. And with the 4-jaw chuck, it doesn't really matter if it's all that perfect or anything, because you can move this around wherever you want it by adjusting this to center. So that's not an issue. I was thinking about a couple different things here. I was originally thinking about using this piece here and just making another one, but this is 4140, and I really, it's hard to cut with my little equipment, and I just don't think I want to go there. And this is something that has already had a lot of work done to it that is going to make my job easier, and it won't take away from the original purpose. So what I've got in mind is I've got some cardboard here, and I'm going to take the cylinder head and just put it on here. And I've got a transfer punch that is just almost perfect for that hole. So I think I need to get a board to put underneath it, and then I'm going to pop the holes in, and then we'll clean them up with a punch set. Let me see if I can find a piece of wood. Okay, I'm not a woodworker, but I do what I have to do to take care of things around the house, so I've usually got some stuff laying around. I just, it's not that I guess the bottom line is I just don't enjoy woodworking. Nothing wrong with anybody that does, but it's not my thing. I'd rather work with metal and mechanical things. Okay, so let me get a little hammer. I'll back you back out here just a little bit. And it's not going to take much here to do what I need it to do. We're just trying to locate those holes. And I won't even need all of them, but I'd like to get 4. Okay, did I get them all? I think so. Okay, yeah, so we can see those pretty good. And like I say, it's not a big, this doesn't have to be perfect. The final adjustment can be done with the 4-jaw chuck. So let me find a punch that'll be close, and we'll do that. Okay, actually I went over and checked, and these are 10 millimeter 125 that screw into the cylinder. I've already pulled the studs, but here's a 10 125, screws right in there. So what we'll do is, once we modify the, to get the cylinder sleeve in there, then we'll try to locate for our bolts that'll go all the way through here. So we'll drill all the way through, try to split all these other bolts, and we'll just get however many in there we can get. Like I say, I'd like to get 4. So I'm going to do, I think a 3/8 is as close as I can get, and the holes will actually be 21/64, something like that. This is it, but it doesn't say it on it. In order to get that through, a 3/8 would be just a little bit small. And like I say, all I'm going to do with this is just try to center that. I want to get whatever's out of in there out of there, though. It's cutting rubber with it, looks like. So I can kind of get centered on that the best that I can. Boy, I think I got into something with that. I'm going to have to find another one. That one is no longer sharp. Let me see what I can find. Okay, hopefully that's pretty close. Okay, well, it looks pretty good actually. I'm a little surprised. I think we can work with that. Okay, looks like I can probably get really as many holes as I want, but I think 4 is enough. I've got this cut out where it's kind of close. Yeah, that should work fine. That keeps us out of the original holes. So I think that will work. That's, I think, the only need that I have for that is just to come up with this. So we can drill those holes and put this in and cut out our clearance for the sleeve. Okay, got this set up over here, and I'm going to go ahead and drill each one of these holes, starting with the starter bit. Oh, that's got to be the... I have to get another bit. There, at least that one cuts. I think this is 4140 myself. Probably not gaining a lot, but I am, because it's a lot of the work's already done for me. Otherwise I'd be drilling out that whole center. And clean this up and then chamfer the holes on the back side. I think that's it. Good fit. Just right. Okay guys, got her installed. So I'm going to go over and put it in the lathe, and I think I'm going to try to center it off of this because it's a tight fit over the sleeve. I'm going to try that, and then I'm going to try, because there's no way to get in here. I don't know whether my stair finger is long enough to get in there or not, but I'm going to try it there and then come down here and see if I can measure it and see what difference, if any, there is. Okay, first thing I did was I took my indicator and come around here on the adapter that we just put together for this and checked it, got it as close as I could. It was within about a thou. And then I came around here and I tried to go along this edge here, but this is kind of, you've kind of got to look at it a little different. It's not really round here, it's just round here. So to go along here is, it's really tough to do, but you need to do it, because if you're like tilted a little bit, that won't show up back here, but it will show up out here. So I did the best I could, and then I used my indicator on the inside of the bore this way. Let's see here. And you're really not going to be able to see it too good. But see, this is checking the inside, but this is not real good either because it's worn. So this is going to be a tricky thing to do. And in being that, you know, in that realm, the bottom line is being able to trim any weld that we put on here. And the weld is going to be, of course, right here. So if I move this in, you can see that there's a big gap there where this kind of falls down. And right here, actually, it was a little high. It's like somebody hit it with a hammer or something right here. And as I went by, I could kind of chip that off. I don't know if you can tell that or not. So as you can see, it's really close here, and this is really close. The exhaust, you know, it wouldn't be a big deal if I needed to go a little lower on here, and it would just go ahead and cut the bottom of this off a little bit. That wouldn't be the end of the world, but it is very close. And you can see here I come up and just snagged it right there a little bit, and this is the other point that needs to be filled. So you can see how it's kind of deceiving. See, I come plumb off of it over here, no longer on there at all. But as I go in, you know, I can get around the sleeve all the way up to it, and that's everything's fine there. But what we've got to do is, you know, really, these points up here are not of a big concern to me. I don't think there's going to be a sealing problem here. It's only here and here. So I think we'll be able to get this in here after we weld it up. and everything will work okay. And like I say, if I have to take off a little bit of the end here, you know, as I come out here so that I can get to these points, say right here, I'm getting real close to this, and it's probably going to hit if I have to go any closer than what I am right now, which, like I said, is not the end of the world. If I can't quite get down there, I can take, you know, the majority of it off and then draw file it to get it down to the same surface there, but it would be very tedious and slow going. I think it'll work okay. It's just at this point we've just got to go ahead and get it welded up and then come back and try it. I just wanted to see how feasible this was going to be before I started welding. These surfaces up here on the exhaust and the intake, these are not going to be a big deal because I'll be able to set that up in the mill, and we'll just basically, after we weld it, take a fly cut across there. This one a little more difficult because I've got a compound angle here, but I think we can do this, and that was my main objective for making the adapter, actually repurposing that adapter to make it fit. This one here, and you know, it's not perfect, but it's going to do the job. And I think right now it is very tight on there where it centers on the sleeve. So my next thing is when I pull this off, I wonder how hard it's going to be to get it off of there. So that's the next thing I need to do, is pull this out and check that to make sure that I'm going to be able to get it off and on easy enough, and then go ahead and weld this up. And this is definitely going to be the hardest part to do. Okay, let's go ahead and get this out of here. Okay guys, there you go. And there's our, this fits very tight. I had to whack it several times with the plastic hammer because it centers on here, and it's not a press fit, but it's a snug fit. And to get it off, I had to just strike the side of this with a plastic hammer, and then turn it around the other way, whack it that way, and then work the other two sides the same way. And it finally worked off. So it's tight, but that's what we want. We want that to be as centered as we can. And I think that's going to work real good. That's our repurposed item for doing boring on the lathe with the 175 Yamahas. Actually, I think it might work for this too. This is a 185 Suzuki that just came in the shop. And it would, yeah, I might have to re-drill holes, but yeah, the holes are not perfect. But that would work for that one. But we'll bore it in the milling machine. But anyhow, the next thing I want to do is go ahead and weld these up. I'll probably go ahead and weld that and these two at the same time. So hopefully all the welding will be done, and then I've just got to. This will be the first thing that we trim. So that'll be a upcoming video on that, probably by itself, because these are going to take a lot of time setting them up in the lathe, And of course we've got helicoils we're going to have to put in here. I think they're okay over here. Yeah, they look good. But anyhow, this is quite the thing here trying to do this. For me it is. A seasoned machinist wouldn't have any problem setting this up and doing it. But I am not a machinist, but I do play one on YouTube. Okay guys, there you have it. We've repurposed an adapter for boring cylinders in a lathe so that we can put this in the lathe to trim up the excess weld on the cylinder to crankcase surface. Never liked doing that kind of stuff, and you really don't want to take off any material down there because you'll change the port timing. We're going to be real careful and just trim it down as close as we can, and then we'll probably use a file and try to keep the file very flat and just do it a little at a time to get it down to exactly where it needs to be. It's certainly going to be better than it was with 2 gaskets and a lot of RTV on it. So anyhow, looking forward to doing that, but first we got to get it welded up. So hey, thanks for going along on a ride, and we'll see you next video.